Good afternoon. Here with Arthur and Clyde and some of the chickens over there. Right now, what I'm doing... this is welcome to OG Foundation Interlodium. I'm Cyber Non-Interlodium. Building out the Citadel symbol monument. Over here, this is going to be the most structural batch I've done in a long time. So I'm going to combine at least probably these two buckets with all of these rocks, and the idea is to fill out this corner and integrate all this rebar, which, if you can see from this angle, is out a good bit from this wall. And if I can encase all of that rebar in rock, in a big rock there, you can also see right here, see that crack that was previously, before I had reinforced the small tower with the big buttress. That was a crack that showed how the small tower was moving independently from the stuff up here, so it was leaning out. So this big rock that I'm building right now is spanning the previous weakness, the weak point, the joint, and it's doing so with a number of pieces of rebar, 3, which you can see right now, and then there's more hidden, and it's going to disperse the force around this weak point. So I'm going to get going on this and I'll show you what it looks like after. So it's not done, but I got all those rocks in and those 2 buckets in, which is over probably 200 pounds, and it's a good start. And basically I needed to get all this done so that I can do something up above where this hole is. So I needed to, anyways, it's really important structurally, but I'll have to come back to it, if not later today, then tomorrow, to add more to fill in the rest of the holes, maybe bring a few more stones. But for now I have 2 more buckets from this first batch. I gotta figure out where to put them, maybe go out in the heat and do the crenellations. It is Tuesday evening. Got 2 batches done today. That last video was halfway through the first batch. That will help shed water, prevent the water from getting on the tires, and of course I tried to put this lath up to keep the chickens out of there, but of course they figured out a way in to knock it over and walk all over it. You can always count on chickens to walk on wet mortar. Got a good bit of structural reinforcement over here, which is a place which bears a lot of weight. So I want to make sure that it disperses that evenly across the tire wall so that the tire wall doesn't begin to lean outward. And then over here, I got a second batch on all of this so that the 2 of those 3 pieces of rebar are very well integrated. This top one, not so much yet, and there's still a bit left to do on that one. But the other piece you can't even really see, the vertical piece of rebar you can't see, we can just barely see it, but this is making a lot of progress, and a little bit in here, just reinforcing the walls above. And both of these are places where there's like the end of a rebar, and so smoothing these out and anchoring in those structural pieces even better. And then the rest of the mortar went, I'll show you the main thing is the crenellations on the tower made a lot of progress, but I also got a drain in over here. So from this new wall, this drain will drop the water right at the base of this tree here and get it away from the tire foundation, which will be really good. And now I will show you the progress on the crenellations. This had some progress on it as well. So that has a smooth coat on the outside, and getting closer. More progress on that over there. Probably tomorrow I'll start the metal on that section of wall there to that extend that higher. And here's the corner one has the least on it, but I cut all of the other crenellations, or at least these ones, to be even. I still have to do that last one over there. And then I got coverage on this whole thing here. A good first batch to tile that in. So here's these four. Really happy with it. The only thing I need to adjust, well, I need to add more coverage, but as far as I need to adjust the level of those two a little bit higher, but that's all for now. Wednesday afternoon. Got a little bit over there, a little bit over here. So got the first connections on this lath on that corner. Got that drain pretty good, and getting that wall extended on the bottom. Once those two are anchored in, I can adjust the bottom of that lath. And look at this, I got all of these Merlons cut and some mortar on all of them, though there's quite a ways to go. But the visual effect of this now, so you get the first four and then it drops off that distance to the next one. And then you get these four, and then it's going to drop off like a double like that. And then it'll just be this single one. It's going to have a little bit of reinforcing on the side just to reinforce that vertical there, so it's not too weak. And maybe something like triangular to give it a little more strength. But so then there'll be one over here, so that that second section there will almost look like a second kind of like tower type, like terraced crenellations, and then there'll be one there, so that from that direction it'll look like there's depth of walls. And let's see, we got mortar on these Merlons, some more mortar on some of these Merlons, and then got those final two cut and in place so that I can start work on all of these. And then I'll start that wall section afterwards. I did get another coat on this triangular section here on either side, so that's really well integrated now. So it's a nice structural aspect. And then I cut this tree back a bit so I can work on this next wall section. But I don't want to get into it until I make more progress on all of these open things, because there's so much in a batch and you can only do so much per mortar spot. You need to have a lot of different areas going at the same time in order to apply a whole mortar batch or two in a day, or sometimes more in a day. But you also don't want too many. So once I finish up on some of these, like that Merlon there is almost completed, and the one next to it is getting close. And yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna do one more batch for today, get more coverage on all of these sections here, and that'll be all for today. So I ended up getting 2 more batches done today. It was a 3-batch day. So that section is all connected, that from there to there, and which is then connected to here. So this is getting pretty close to the end of that, and I'm able to get more on this section, so that once that cures, I can straighten out the rest and continue on that. And basically just got more coverage on all of the Merlons, as well as these Merlons. And run that carabiner. And then the other thing is, so this right here is the top area of where I was doing that work on the inside. So I was able to put a bunch of mortar and rocks up in there to connect that up there to that big stone kind of enforcement thing I was doing underneath, and both of those anchored together ensure that weak point is strengthened. There's a little bit more I could add there, but it was great coverage for the day, and there's a good bit of rain forecast, so we'll see when I will be able to do more. But there's plenty more metal work to do if it's raining to prep for future mortar. But it's all going great progress for today. We'll see where it's at next time I check in. It is Friday morning. Just finished with the second batch of the day. Got some good coverage on the back side of most of these marlons, and more in. So here's from this angle the thing that I did on top. So I got even more, but that's basically all like a big solid rock basically, and that's also going to be a gutter there. That's why there's a hole there and that thing there. So I'm continuing to add more mortar to that to beef it up and smooth it out. Just a second ago, chicken Snow over there, the black one, she accidentally flew into the water feature, and when I was walking by, I was worried for a second that, you can kind of see she's all wet, that she might drown or something. But it turns out they just float like a duck, kind of. She floated around in there for like 30 seconds before I figured out how to get her out. She did like a full lap. So I actually did a lot of mortar in here. Oh, this is interesting. I'm just seeing this for the first time, whatever this is. It almost seems like it might be a stress point or something from water. I forget why it does that, the white buildup. It's probably important though. So yeah, I've added more to this, packing this out. That other, the rebar piece number 2 is almost completely encased now. Adding some smaller rocks. This one's still got a bit of work to do to get out to it, but it might even stay as like a railing or something, but it'd be nice to make it structural. And then got a lot more in here along this whole wall, that far wall, really trying to get it kind of smoothed out, covering a lot of the rocks. Probably the bottom half will end up being completely covered, the tires will be, so that it's all cemented. And then there's also at least these, well, there's 3 pieces there, there's a piece of rebar, there's another piece of rebar up there, and there's this piece of rebar going here. So there's quite a bit of mortar to add onto this in order to bond it all together better, encase all of this matrix, this grid of rebar into the cement wall to further reinforce the ceiling up above. It's probably a pretty cool shot to look up here. So there's the tire, or can't quite get the angle, but yeah, the wall's right there. And then another big piece of progress is that I got the metal up for the extension for this wall. Yesterday was a no mortar day. It was all kind of like rainy, so I did lots of metal work. And so here's the back side of this section. There's metal work. Then I got some forms up, and this was like 2 buckets of mortar to get the first width of lath extension onto there. And then I'll go up and show you what it looks like from this side. And then kind of making progress with these railing pieces. That one I straightened out, so I cut it and then brought the bottom in so that I can make a lot of progress on that. And these ones need, other than that one might need 2, but the rest probably just need 1 more coat to finish the inside of these Merlons. There's a little to do over here, and then definitely more to do up there. It's hardest to get to that one, but and then I'm filling in this hole over here, so that using all of the scraps, the little pieces of lath, to close that up. So making some progress there. I still haven't finished that one. And then there's that third hole that will be a chimney or a ladder or whatever, which I haven't gotten to. But here's this. I took the bar out of that one and added the mortar, so this is all looking good. These forms are up. 4 pieces of remesh to do this side wall, and then this one is all up. So connecting this one to over there. So the solid wall will be at least as high as the lath, probably up to that piece of rebar there, and then above the rebar will be Merlons, just like the rest of the theme. And I got the first mortar on the bottom, kind of connecting a lot of this. It's not straightened out right now, but I'll have to wait till tomorrow till that mortar is more cured. And then some mortar on the far side, connecting that sheet of lath over to the tower. So yeah, a lot of progress in this video because there's a whole day of doing metal work, and then the 2 batches today just starting to cement it in. So that'll be really cool over there once that or maybe by the end of the day, because I did that one first early this morning. So by the end of the day I'll probably be able to get a second coat on that. Tomorrow morning I can probably take the forms off, and then it'll probably be tomorrow that I can straighten out that wall and keep going over there as these Merlons get finished. It's a beautiful day. I haven't fully checked the weather, but I'm on track to do 2 more batches today, potentially a 4-batch day if the weather holds out and my my energy stays consistent. So maybe I'll check in at the end of the day if there's more to show, but most likely there won't be. I'll probably wait till tomorrow. Due to erratic forecasting, I was only able to get 1 more batch, and still really close to the rain clouds, but I monitor the radar for the weather online really closely. So there's like thunderstorms a few miles away, kind of on both sides, this has happened on several different days, and yet we're in the middle and it's dry. So I started filling these holes over here. So that corner one is almost filled. And then I'm using this black 8-inch hole, whatever you call it, thing. That is for a skylight, and that could eventually be for a chimney. But basically it's in the right place over the hole, so that directly over center, which you roughly are, it has no impediments really. So I got a good amount of cement to start cementing that in. And at that level, and then I started filling this one, but this one's going to take a bit longer. But basically that's the last one that will really need to get filled, or the biggest one left, in order to be able to do the aircrete in here. So I'll try to prioritize doing the bottom of that in my next batch or 2 when I'm able to, so that I can fill a lot of the bottom of this and get going with that, raising the floor and getting it all flat. That'll be cool. But of course, filling those holes comes first. And at one point I was thinking about doing this whole cement chimney around that hole using lath, and that would have just taken so much time and been so much more complicated than just doing that. It will no longer work as a ladder hole. At one point I was thinking like a ladder, a chimney, or a skylight. So the ladder option is eliminated, but it can still be a skylight or a chimney at some future point. And then otherwise I got a second coat on the back of the forms there, so that those will be all ready to take off tomorrow. And we've got plenty of metal work to do on this, connecting the rest of the rebar, bending a few pieces, and attaching more lath and bending the Merlons and stuff. But yeah, you might have noticed I trimmed this tree here. Got a lot of the undergrowth out, and it's got 4 main branches now, and just cleaned it up a lot so you can see the whole shape of all of this and everything. And didn't get to really the insides of these Merlons at all. If I would have gotten that 4th batch done, I would have been able to do that, but for a while it looked pretty certain that there was a lot of rain coming, and looks like we're just skirting the storm. That's all for now. Put those baskets up there for the first time. How about this sky right now? It's almost as if the clouds have been breaking upon the stern, or the bow. What's the front of the ship called? The bow, I think. It's almost like that is the bow of this Earth ship. Just wait till that wall's done, it'll break it even more. Well, the lighting was really cool like that. There's just a little bit of blue through the tunnel. You look for it, you can find it. Lay at the end of the tunnel. Oh, this is your face. You might not see it, but it's always there. The camera does not do it justice. But it sure does try. I think we got one little thing of lightning there. That's some extra acoustics. Welcome, Frogger. So it did end up pouring last night, but I was able to cover this with this piece of plywood, and it looks like there wasn't any washout, even though that had only had like maybe 2 or 3 hours at the end of the day before it really started pouring to cure. So that's all good news. Just getting started. Really happy with how these hanging baskets are looking in here, and I think I'm gonna take those forms off now. So this is with all the forms removed. Once again, I'm just very impressed by the outcome, the quality, the consistency, the speed of it going up, as well as the speed of the metal work, because I didn't really have to tie it like you usually have to tie all of the lath to the steel. Here it's just stapled. So because the lath is on the outside, then it's just stapled over the remesh. And then when I pull the form off, then staple either remains either in the wall or in the board. So that big gap on the bottom, that was where in between where the board was. So there's some areas where, oh, there's a grasshopper. There's some areas where it's sticking out kind of far, like where it went through the lath and then hit the board right in the connection spot, like here. So those ones will just come off. Anyways, I'll do that later. But there's only a couple of them that are like that. So now I'll just have to flatten those staples out, and then one coat on the inside. And this thing is going to be super solid, even though already, with just the two and one night of curing, well, it does move a little bit. You can see a little bit, but I mean, it's super solid already. It's got a big weakness right in that gap there. Oops. Sometimes I hold the camera a little crooked, but so I'm going to reset the form, see how much I can get over here, maybe that end right there, and then start straightening out this, so I can work on that today, as well as all of the other stuff. It should be a busy mortar day. Bucket 1, batch 2, and I think it's Saturday afternoon. Filled up all these holes from the outside. Can't really tell if I'm getting a good angle. I'm like doing this left-handed upside down and facing the other way. But anyways, filled up these holes from the outside, and then made it all shed water. So basically done on the outside over here. 3 more buckets to do now. And here is bucket number 2 of batch number 2. So this wall section, it has already been done. This is on the other side of the corner, so I got the widest piece of plywood I have. Set a form for that, and then got that section done. The rest of the in-between there is going to be more difficult because there's no floor underneath to be able to set a form. So still might be able to do a form, but I'll just have to be more creative about it. But 2 more buckets in this batch, hot and sweaty, gonna get it all done. It is the end of the day on Saturday. And one of the first batches I did today was getting all around the hole and up above it. That was a place that was tricky to get to, so I was able to strap a 2x4 to the top of the ladder to be able to get this ladder at full extension to go all the way up there. So that's all good. And let's see, it was just the 2 batches today. I was thinking the weather was good enough to maybe be able to do more, but I ran out of a bit of oh, there's a snake. Ran out of energy after the first. Got super exhausted. It was really hot, and I just did one more in the afternoon. I did get some more on here, though a lot of the stuff from this morning has dried out, so it's hard to see. You can see how messy this is from underneath. So once I get it all done from up top, then I'll bring in a ladder underneath and start cutting out that remesh part, and then connecting all of that with mortar. And once I get the ladder in here, I can put mortar on that, more on that top section as well. But this over here, this section is largely getting built out, and that section is largely done, though there is some more to do here. And that was like the end of one of my buckets. I poured there and covered that tire, and of course the chicken came and pooped right on it. So the main other thing that's a cool kind of lighting with that, how that's doing that right now. I got done today in the first batch. This all got a smooth coat on it this morning. So I do need to add at least one more on it because you can still see the remesh right here. You can see the line of that remesh. So it needs at least one more on it to cover that up. But that's looking really great, and I can work on the Merlons. You can see I've already started to cut the remesh for the Merlons, but I'll work on that metal bending tomorrow. And then I think tomorrow it's going to rain, so I might not be able to do more, but it's great to be able to get that section on. And we've just got that section there as far as the Merlon walls extension, so a lot to do there. And then the main other thing that I got done today was these Merlons here. So I think this one is done. That one's done. That one is done. Well, it just has a tiny bit left. That one's really close to done. That one's a lot closer to done. And then I was not able to get up to the top ones or any more to that corner than yesterday. Though I got more on this side wall. And so that's closer to being able to be finished. And then I did get a good bit on this hole here, which is really important. So that that'll probably require 2 more batches to get fully sealed at least. But that's a good start to close that up. There's just a little bit left on that hole on the left, and just a little bit to work on around this. Otherwise, most of these holes are done, and then I'll get on to be able to get onto the aircrete. But there's a bit more prep to do before that can happen. But it's another very good, productive day. The birds are just discovering the greatness of the Merlons. I assure you, in time there will be legions of birds manning these Crenelations. They will be filled with birds. There will be no lack of birds on the Crenelations. Not so lucky this time. Forecast did not turn out as expected. Got one batch on. Then the rain came in hard. Tried to cover up some of the stuff, but a lot of the stuff I just couldn't cover. But most of the time the forecasts have been really helpful, but this one might have cost me a batch of mortar, or maybe a half a batch of mortar. We'll see how much gets washed out in the end. I did some on the very top of one of the Merlons. That's probably pretty washed out already. Oh! That one is all fresh. Probably washing away as we speak. Oh well, let's see what what happens after the storm passes. So the rain is almost over, and that part up there is surprisingly unaffected. But you can definitely see some damage down here where I had done some work around this drain. So that is the effects of the rain. So it'll wash away some of the Portland and get it to kind of slump. But ultimately it's not going to be that big of a deal. It'll still end up drying out for the most part. I just want to get some of this water out here is all. For now, it's draining into that bucket from a hole in the corner there. But that was my first washout of the season. I was just kind of thinking about it, and I think I jinxed myself. But ultimately, not a big deal. I covered that, and I tried to cover this over here. Oh, I didn't look over here yet. This is one area where I also did a lot of stuff that was just horizontal. Seems mostly alright. I think that was the first bucket I did there, so had an hour or two to dry. Anyways, sun's out now. Look at this episode in absurdity. Look who does this? Who puts forms up like this? I mean, this is crazy. I mean, look, there's pallets. They're just like leaning against a tree, and then like the ladder, and oh my god, you haven't even seen half of this. You would not believe how I just got that piece of plywood up there on that vertical ladder with like one of me, two hands, the other ladder. That's all the vertical. There's no other place to put that ladder. It's up there. It could easily fall. It's not even stapled. I just did it. And I just wanted to get it on camera before it fell because I was sure it was going to fall. Because there's nothing holding it up. There's just that one ladder, which is just kind of... Anyways, this is really something. This one's got some staples in it, but with these two forms, I can just about, if the shit doesn't fall apart beforehand, I can just about finish this whole raised wall section. Be pretty amazing. The roosters are excited. I'm gonna secure that now, somehow staple it or something. The fishes are growing so fast. They're like, how long is that? 4 or 5 inches? They've been looking really happy. They always come up and hang out right by me, looking for some foods. It's a very peaceful little water feature here. A chicken burrowing into a tire. I'm doing my hard work. Coco. Hey, it is Tuesday evening. Monday evening. This is the final video of the week. And got 3 batches done today. There's some more over here. And got this area all sealed up. So that hole is totally filled, as well as all those holes over there, so that I am ready to put aircrete in here for next week. I just got to plug that pipe in order to do so. And over here, I got the Merlons on the far side of this wall, with at least like 2 coats on most of it. That wall is just about done. And those forms, I was able to get 2 coats on each. So I should be able to take those off in the morning, though it may be rainy tomorrow. But and then there's a good bit of mortar on the back side of all that. But all in all, that's kind of it. So getting really close to basically finishing up. I just need to add the last few Merlons, finish that wall section, clean up some of those, finish them off a bit, and this railing, straighten up this railing and level it out. And at that point, not including the aircrete and stuff, but at that point all of the facade stuff will be done for this structure. It's been quite a marathon of work for months on end, starting with the buttress and the small tower, and then moving on to the whole thing that I'm standing on, and then moving on to the tower and the facade and all this. But I am really happy with it, and the great thing about these stone structures is it's gonna last, and I can just keep appreciating it over time. And not just me, but the rest of the community. Everything I've heard from everyone else, the outside view looks even better because the fins that are on the Merlons that you can see from this side, from this lighting, it looks like you're looking at it from the other side. It look like you can kind of see how each Merlon looks like a block with this lighting, even though you know from this angle that there's fins on this side. But from the outside, all of them look like they're blocks. So it creates this really cool facade. And at some point, I'm going to clear out some of the shrubbery, the sumac and stuff, and then we'll see how it's looking from afar. But this is the last video for this week. Thank you for tuning in, and until next week, take care.